Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode at the Wellstead. Today's video is going to be quite different because rather than showing what I'm doing today at the Wellstead, instead we're going to be going back in time, all the way back to August of 2024. So by the time this video goes up for the 1 year anniversary of the Wellstead YouTube channel, it will be April 2026. So this is nearly 2 years ago now, and I filmed it initially when I first wanted to start the channel, which was going to be under the name of Project Eden, before I then started it officially last year, 1 year ago as the Wellstead. So this video has just been sat unedited on my hard drive since then, and by the time this video goes up I will have also uploaded a reaction video to this video to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of the channel. So if you want to see that, either hit the link up here or go down to the description below to see that video. But I'm also going to just upload the full video here for you guys just for entertainment. And it's quite interesting to look back on this video because, as I said, it's nearly 2 years ago. You'll see that the farm was not yet constructed, and so in the video I'm clearing the area for the greenhouse that was going to go up a few months after that. And I'm also talking again, as I do frequently on this channel, about our problem here with invasive non-native species, especially the rhododendrons. And so in this video was when I first cleared the path that would lead through from the top end of the woods down through Badger Valley to bypass walking up there. And I had also recently started building the staircase, which is of course now finished. So it's going to be quite a unique video, and it's fun to look back on these things and see how far we've come and how much I've grown and how much the woodland has already healed in such, quite a short period of time. I will say, disclaimer, some of the things I'm saying in there are, a bit uninformed, I should say. At the time I had an interest in ecology, but I hadn't yet started my education in ecology, and of course my experience and knowledge was very limited to start with. So it's going to be a very, very hopefully fun and entertaining video, also quite interesting to look back on, as I said, how far we've come. Now there are kind of two videos here, but I've sort of just merged them into one because the first one has a definitive opening and a definitive closing, but the second one I couldn't really find a definitive ending for it. And going back 2 years, I can't remember what my intentions for these videos were going to be, so it sort of just ends out of nowhere. But yeah, there are kind of two videos. We'll merge them into one just to keep it nice and concise. And as I said, if you want to see my reaction to these videos, go down to the link in the description below to watch that video. But for now, I hope you enjoy. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of, or sort of the first episode really, of what I'm calling Project Eden at the moment. Whether it will stay that way is I'm sort of thinking the channel is going to evolve a bit, and of course if you're not evolving then you're not alive. So anyway, I'm not used to, you can probably tell I'm not really used to talking to a camera, so yeah, that's something we're going to be hoping to improve. Anyway, this episode is going to be about invasive species. So here in the south of England, well, Britain in general, we have a lot of invasive species. I think we have some of the lowest natural landscapes remaining in certainly Europe. I'm not sure about the whole world though. I can imagine we are probably quite up there. And it's because of the good old Victorians, as much as they contributed to the world we live in today, they were also quite pesky fellas as well. So they liked they liked bringing in plants from around the world as sort of decorative and status symbols. Eventually, those species which aren't considered native proliferated around the island, until today we have invasive species everywhere you look, in every city park and every roadside, every garden, and people aren't even really familiar with what an invasive species is and what it exactly means. Just a quick disclaimer, I'm not an ecologist, I'm not a biologist, not a horticulturalist, not an arborologist, trees. I am learning, and I hope that by making these videos some of you can learn from me and I can also learn from you. That's the whole point of this channel, and it's also just nice to keep track of the progress that we're making here. So yeah, we're here in my family's 9 acres of ancient deciduous woodland in the south of Britain, and we've got a few projects in mind, but before we go on to any of that and before I can reveal any of that, the most important priority for the time being is just restoring the woodland to its natural homeostasis so that we can ensure that it is a healthy, functioning ecosystem before we then start to try to integrate our own activities into the woodland. Anyway, the point is that where I'm sat or squatting right now, I'm sort of in the heart of, I'm in the top corner of the woodland, but I'm in the heart of about 2 or 3 acres that are completely overtaken with rhododendrons. Now, like I said, a lot of you may be familiar with rhododendrons, but what you might not know is that the species that we get here in the UK are not native. Now, what does native mean? Who's to decide what that means? But rhododendrons, to my knowledge, are from Asia, Southeast Asia in particular. And they are beautiful, and certainly in April and May when they come into full bloom. So with these rhododendrons, the plan is to just get them out of here. As beautiful as they are, like I said, we are trying to restore the natural landscape of the woodland and the natural ecology of the woodland. But the purpose for today's video is we have all of these sleepers that we've just brought in last week or the week before, and we need to get them down to our main project area, the first project that we're working on at the moment, which I can't quite reveal what that is, but you'll certainly be seeing the progress, and hopefully soon we'll actually get it going, so we're very nearly there. This is one of the last ingredients that we need to make the cake and reveal what this first project is. But basically there is a path down there going this way. See here, there's this path going down, and if I just follow this along, then you can see that while it is for the most part clear, oh, there's a nice butterfly there. While it is for the most part clear, it's quite hilly and there's lots of different turns, and it comes out through the opening down there. And of course this is all rhododendron in between. So you can just see through there is a little bit of a clearing, and that is where we've started to clear a new path, a more direct path down to the project site, which will just make transporting these sleepers much easier. So that's sort of the main task for today, is just to clear a wider path that will just take us, it will just cut out, it's only going to make a shortcut instead of walking around that way, coming around back there and then down there. It's just going to make it so much easier just to carve straight down here, and then it'll come through to the clearing that's down there anyway. This entire area that's full of rhododendrons here should be open woodland like this. Well, not quite like this, there's rhododendrons there, but I'll take some videos through there so you can see what I mean. Then it'll just open up the whole woodland, and it'll just restore it to a more natural state, which will allow other plants, more native plants, to grow instead. And that's sort of the main issue here. So yeah, I'm currently stood in the top corner of our woodland, between the road and the public footpath. And you can see here, these are all rhododendrons. And turn around here, these are all rhododendrons. There's a tree. Now here's sort of the main area that I was just stood in. We have cleared a sort of path through there, but that's what I'm going to continue doing in today's video. Down there are all rhododendrons, and I believe even those very tall parts there, from here looks about 25 feet tall. They're very tall. They're rhododendrons too. I could be wrong with some of them. I'm not sure, because I know laurel is another sort of, it looks like rhododendron, but I'm not quite familiar with exactly its ecological status. There's some more rhododendrons, and here's the main bulk here. If you carry on through this big part here, if you were to walk straight down through there, you'd be walking for about 200 meters through rhododendrons in this entire patch here, and this is the main issue. Now, of course, rhododendrons aren't all bad. They do provide habitats for a variety of species. I have seen quite a few deer nesting in this area before, roe deer. And it is nice. I do like seeing the rhododendrons in full bloom. Like I said, they're beautiful, but like I said, I'm just trying to figure out the right way to word this. Their effects on the local ecology outweigh any aesthetic, appeal that they might have, in my opinion. Anyway. The point is that there is nothing inherently bad in nature. Even predators, even viruses and plagues, they all have their place, and it's all part of the natural ebb and flow of what I call the living force. Now, if you're a fan of Star Wars, you'll get that reference. The natural homeostasis of the planet, of the Earth, of all of nature, from the smallest microbes buried deep in the Earth's crust that have survived for millions of years, for God knows how. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is rhododendrons do have their place in an ecosystem in a very elementary way. They do provide habitats for birds, for roe deer. Why am I cutting them down today? Why am I hoping that in the next year or so, this entire 2-acre patch of rhododendron overgrowth will be cleared and open it back up to woodland, which from from sort of a pedestrian point of view might not look as biodiverse, Now, I understand that I am rambling a lot where I should really be working, so I'm going to sort of try to work as I talk. But let's just talk about what it actually means for a species to be an invasive species. What does that mean? Because we hear a lot nowadays about trying to increase biodiversity, especially in this country where biodiversity is at an all-time low. So you can have a variety of different species in a landscape, but whether they work together or not determines whether it's a functional ecosystem. Now, biodiversity, in a concise definition, means that there's a variety of species that all belong in the same ecosystem, and therefore when they exist together, they coexist, they work together to create a harmonious ecosystem, right? Does that make sense? So biovariety is you can have as many species as you want, like an arboretum, right? Or like a public park, where you've got all these different plants and they all look very lovely, but they're not communicating, they don't work together. Biodiversity refers to when there are lots of different species that are working harmoniously together in an ecosystem. And so the way I like to think of it is, if you think of like a concert, like an orchestra, and say I'm not a musician, so yet again, I'm a bit useless on these videos, aren't I? I'm just pretending I know everything, I don't know anything. But, there's a bit of deadwood here. But if you think of like an orchestra, and they're all playing a certain melody and a certain tune, and then comes, I don't know, a bass instrument, don't critique me on my music knowledge, okay? And it plays the same melody and it's out of tune, okay? Or you've got a lovely, violin orchestra, and then someone comes in with an electric guitar. That's sort of how I approach thinking about things like rhododendrons. They just don't belong in the ecosystem. And that's why they're considered invasive, because they're not just adding a wider variety to the ecosystem. Like, it certainly increases the variety of species in the landscape, but the diversity doesn't, diversity doesn't mean variety. Diversity means it's a dynamic variety. Variety just means you can have, you can lay out on a table, you can have, lots of different things laid out. But a diversity means those things are all somehow connected, right? At least that's how I interpret it. So when you have a species like rhododendron, then that's actually decreasing biodiversity and can be harmful to the ecosystem. So let's just let's start by just chopping this little part off here. I will say, for the record, if you're hoping to learn safety from these videos, go elsewhere. Anyway, there's a bit, nice big part come off there. What's growing on them? Ah, there's certainly some big spiders though, fuck off. Yeah, there are some species that are growing on, get off. I really do not like spiders. Ah, there's one of my gloves. Ah, get out! Run! My camera died, so I didn't get to finish saying what I was saying, but I said too much anyway. There'll be plenty more videos where I get to ramble on. But for now, that's the last rhododendron that needed to come down. So we've cleared the path. We're going to start moving these timbers through to the main area. So I hope you found this video informative. Leave a comment if I got anything wrong or if you disagree with anything I said. So yeah, beautiful open part of the woodland. That's all rhododendron, that's all rhododendron, and this is all rhododendron. But soon we'll have a more connected landscape, not only for us to be able to walk through, but for the entire ecology of the woodland to thrive. So yeah, thank you for watching. Still sort of learning what I want these videos to be, how long I want them to be, how I want them to feel, what I want to say. So keep watching, and who knows, maybe one day we'll grow into something really special. So yeah, thank you, and see you next time. So this area was clear. I don't have my microphone on, so the audio might not be great. But this area was clear 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, and obviously it's sort of, well, we're past the height of summer now. It's the 20th of August today, I think, and obviously I don't mind new plant growth. In fact, it is beautiful. There's so much vibrant plant life coming through, and so many little just like you know, it's just a mosaic of species coming up through the soil. And so from an ecological side, this is great. Obviously not completely ideal in this environment because we are in a woodland. Although there are some tall pine trees around me, this is mainly an ancient deciduous woodland, so when you have a clearing like this, obviously you're going to expect lots of, as you can see, ferns and flowers and all sorts coming through. This is our first project and the first one I'm going to show because we've got a few others going on. They're nowhere near ready to start yet, but they are in the planning phase, and this one is nearly ready to go now. But we keep facing stepbacks like this, so obviously it's not ideal. It is beautiful, but you know, it's a bit of a trade-off. So now I'm going to have to clear this patch again, and hopefully by this Sunday, I think, we're going to start to erect where this post is. There's another one there, and there's two more there, and we've got this sort of boundary mapped out, and we can start to erect our first project in the woodland. But let's not complain about it, let's just get to work. Now you can see here, this is a pretty big problem around here. We are next to a village, so we do get a lot of sort of stray litter that comes around. I mean, some of it could have been here for years. Is that going to focus? That is very strange, it's not getting closer, that's weird. There you go. So it's an old Bounty wrapper. For the record, I absolutely hate Bounty, and until I went to Thailand and tried a real coconut, I was convinced that I hated coconut because of Bounty. But coconut is delicious, so if you don't like Bounty and you've never tried coconut, then don't be too harsh on coconuts. That's today's live lesson. There you are, there's a look at the roots of, they're very black and dry. I can only imagine that's because it's become a bit of a little bit of, I don't know, I'm not an ecologist, so I'm not going to try to prescribe or diagnose the state of this clearing, but it's become a little bit dominated by ferns, which I believe is good, and there's a lot of grass and obviously a lot of little leafy round things. These ferns and their roots are very hardy for their size, I'll tell you that. I mean, you can look at that. They are probably about a third the width of my finger. So, and they don't break easy. Now, one thing I learnt about using a scythe like this is you don't really want to swing with it. You know, you're not trying to like sort of like whoosh, you know. You sort of want to do like a wide sweeping pattern, and then just, there you go, look. I don't know if you can see that from back there, but it gives me an excuse. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Stop the building. Now this is another very interesting thing. I don't usually like to use the word weed because the term weed in reference to like gardening and whatnot sort of came about during the Victorian age, because that's when they really liked their grass lawns and monoculture. So anything that was deemed undesirable was coined a weed. But if anything had the characteristic of a weed that I've come across, it's definitely this plant. Now it's very interesting. You can see it's got this like pinkish rhubarb red colour to it, and it's got these beautiful flowers. Now they grow everywhere. You can see them all back there. They're right behind the camera here as well. But you can see that this plant just takes root in whatever it can, and actually this has rerouted. As I uncover more and more of it, this has rerouted from another one that we've cut, thrown in the pile of compost, and you can see here, look, it's coming across here and it's re-sprouting here, and more roots have come out. But if I break it, can you hear that lovely sound?
Nice.
It is hollow on the inside. You can see that there, look. So yeah, in the interest of talking about invasive species, I don't know if this is an invasive, I'm pretty sure this is native because it grows everywhere. If it's not, I'm going to have a tough job getting rid of all of that, huh? Anyway, I am not making much progress here, to be honest. So I'll carry on because I don't want to drain my camera battery and use up my SD card. So yeah, I'll see you with whatever I'm doing next. Yeah, so I just wanted to point out, again, sorry I haven't got my microphone on, so the quality's not going to be great, but this huge fern here, it's about 5 feet in diameter, maybe. This is, I don't know if you can see down there, but it all comes from the same sort of shoot. And yeah, so this is what I was just putting out down there, because as beautiful as they are, for the project that we're doing down there, which is as yet unrevealed, this would be a major inconvenience. So, and of course we'll try to create as much habitat as possible for them, but just down there were some little ones coming through, and I just really did not want them to get too big to handle. But if I show you, if I take the camera off of my lovely National Geographic tripod, then I don't know if the video is upside down or if my screen's just upside down. So you can see here it all comes from the one big shoot. I mean, this might be 2 plants growing here, I'm not sure, but yeah, it certainly be a pain to get out once it starts growing. So that's why I thought, let's just tackle it while we can. And here's the surrounding landscape. Beautiful big pine tree there. And then down there is obviously the project that we're doing. And up here we've got some more projects in the works. So learning how to be a vlogger is not what I had in mind when I was doing this, but it's I suppose we're learning more than just one area of skill at a time then. So I am a photographer, but I'm struggling to currently put my camera on my tripod. So yeah, so anyway, I just thought I'd show you what that plant will eventually become, or would have had I not ripped it out from its life force. It is beautiful though, it's a really beautiful fern. Alright guys, and there we have it. That was the first ever video filmed for what would eventually become this YouTube channel, The Wellstead, all the way back in August of 2024. And you can see that the bulk of the work in that video was preparing this area for our farm, which is still not completely finished, but you know, we're a lot further along than we were when we started, and these things just take time. But as I said at the start of the video, it's really nice to see exactly how far we've come in quite a short period of time, how much the woodland has healed, and the difference between, you know, what our vision was back then and what we're building towards now. So I hope you enjoyed this video, a little flashback of the early days of the Wellstead. You probably saw I was talking some real rubbish in there at points, and that hasn't really changed too much, but I know that our vision of how we want to restore this land and exactly what we want to build here as the Wellstead is much clearer now than it was back then. So thank you for watching, guys, and maybe 2 years from now we'll look back at more videos that we've made this year and see again just how far we've come. Thank you for watching, guys, and thank you for all your support on our first year at the Wellstead, and here's to another brilliant year of videos and building this community even bigger. Much love to you all. See you in the next video.